Hi, I'm Max Brantley with Arkansas Times. Thursday, May 28th, news from Arkansas. The legislature should finish this afternoon as we tape this. There are a few I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, but it looks like they're going to finish quietly with approval of everything that was on Governor Asa Hutchinson's agenda. There will be an $87 million corporate welfare handout to Lockheed Martin to help it build a plant to build military vehicles in Camden if it gets a federal contract. And they've worked out a compromise of sorts on the legislation that will move the primary elections in 2016 from May to March. This is being done so as to encourage Arkansas being among the southern states with Republican primaries for president. This could help Mike Huckabee a little bit. It's thought, by Republicans anyway, that this will lift Arkansas' stature in presidential politics in 2016. I still don't think our 6 electoral votes are going to bring a great deal of attention to our state, but perhaps we'll see. It will be interesting to see if a March 1st primary date reduces voter participation. That will be a shame if that's the case. The legislature also cleaned up some DWI laws so as not to jeopardize our federal funding. Other news today from the Arkansas Supreme Court, some very brief orders without explanation. The court said it will not hear new oral arguments in the same-sex marriage case. There are 2 new judges, but they've decided they can hear the case on the briefs, and the arguments have already been held, apparently. No word on when that decision will come. I think we can probably bet money that it won't come until after the U.S. Supreme Court rules. The Arkansas Supreme Court, I don't think, is very interested in getting out ahead on this very controversial issue, particularly not with its 2 membership. More news in the Jim Bob Duggar affair. For one thing, there was something of a blockbuster report yesterday afternoon from In Touch Weekly, the gossip magazine. A state trooper, Joseph Hutchins, who's serving a 56-year sentence for child pornography, gave an interview to In Touch, a lawyer for In Touch in the Riceville unit last week, in which he said when Jim Bob Duggar told him in around 2003 about a sexual molestation incident in his household, he only told him about 1 incident that had never been repeated of a relatively minor nature. We know from a Springdale police report that there were multiple incidents, that they weren't so minor. They involved family and non-family members. It was a much worse situation than was known about, and it was too late to do anything about it at that point because of the statute of limitations. Now further controversy has arisen because the state correction department is no longer allowing interviews with the state trooper. It says it has questions about whether proper representations were made by the lawyer who visited with Hutchins in the prison. So I don't think this story is over with yet. There's news that some of the Duggar family members are trying to work out a new spin-off TV show to keep the money coming for being on TV as members of a huge family. No mention that Josh Duggar would be involved, however. And the list of advertisers is canceled from the original Duggar show has grown to 9. Its future certainly seems in doubt. Jason Rapert, who sponsored the bill to prohibit abortions, most abortions in Arkansas after 12 weeks in 2013, finally posted a lengthy message on Facebook late last night defending his legislation, which has now been officially invalidated by the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. He quoted Mother Teresa, Ronald Reagan, and himself. He said he's going to keep battling for babies. He persists in calling even zygotes within hours of microscopic formation babies. It's an incendiary sort of formulation. It works for Jason Rapert. Doesn't happen to be exactly accurate. He's not a bit sorry about the money the state has wasted in defending a law that everybody said was unconstitutional from the outset and that Governor Mike Beebe vetoed for its unconstitutionality. The Republican legislature passed it anyway. A private prison operator, Corrections Corporation of America, has begun lobbying the legislature, hoping to get a piece of business in the so-called justice reform days under the new governor. The lobby firm for Corrections Corporation of America happens to be Asa Hutchinson III. Do you think they'll get a good hearing? I think there's a good chance that they will. Central Arkansas Water has filed papers in federal court today objecting to a consent decree between the federal government and Exxon Mobil over the Pegasus pipeline that spewed crude oil in Mayflower some time ago. The water company says it's not nearly sufficient to protect the interest of water customers in the Lake Maumelle watershed through which the pipeline runs. A fine and some reaction processes for emergencies are not enough. They think the pipeline should be removed from the watershed. Lots more to come before that one's decided. Hendrix College has started a new public policy study program, and it issued its first report today. Very interesting. It was on Little Rock governance and the difference between ward elections and a blend of ward and at-large elections, which Little Rock currently has. The Hendrix study concludes there are many benefits: more participation at a lower cost and a more direct connection to government from ward-only elections. Since that happens to be the view the Arkansas Times has long held on city government, we think it's a brilliant report and hope to see more of the same. And finally, the Office of Treasurer Dennis Milligan, the new state treasurer, who vowed to bring sanity and a good, clean, quiet operation to that office after the previous occupant was indicted for bribery, continues to have trouble. The latest is a lawsuit filed by somebody who was fired from his staff against his chief of staff. He says he's been defamed by him. This adds to a growing long list of political skullduggery in the treasurer's office. I think it's a product of a highly partisan political operator who got into office in part by extorting his way into a win in the Republican primary, getting some of what he dishes out by having people around him who are, well, just a little bit like him. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.